So you have birthed this brand that is the epitome of who you are and your life. So if you could explain what is Seats and Shoes.
Seats and shoes. Seats is a place of influence, and shoes is in a way of which you carry it out. Seats and shoes. Um, to be honest, I never thought I would be able to sit in a place of influence. When I think even back on my childhood and how I was raised, I hate, in this day and time to use the word black sheep. But I was the black sheep of the family. When it came down to being shown love, appreciation, um, I went without. So I never thought in a million years I would sit in a place of influence because to be exceptional was not, a part of my genetic makeup. Even in my childhood, I dealt with different traumas, and it just pretty much silenced my voice. So when I think about who I am today, the person that I was then, I never thought I'd be. Of course, throughout the years, God began to send people my way, and it really began to show me that I was valuable. That there was a light on the inside of me, and that God called me to be great. And so through life and through God just sending different people in and out of my life, I began to notice that there was something special about me. Also, when I got 21, I got married, and if you watched the previous podcast, you heard me and my husband's story. And in that podcast, I expressed how I never thought that he would be a pastor. Of course, he preached the gospel, and I was cool with being, his wife. He went to church, preached, sit on the second row, pat him on his back, get on out. But I never in a million years expected him to be a pastor. I know I ride the slow bus because I don't have a clue how. I did not know that. But as he took on the role as the assistant pastor, things that were embedded in me as a young girl began to manifest as a woman. When he took on the role as a pastor, I was so insecure, and I felt like I had to be something that I was not. I can remember the first time we were going into the church, and they were getting ready to announce to the church that he was going to be the assistant pastor. I had on a long, this dress, it was handmade. Like somebody took their time, sewed it up for me, a long dress. When I had no heels on, I never wore no heels. Never wore any heels, but I had on my little flats. I had on some flats, had my hair did, thinking that I was prepared for the journey, but in all actuality, I was not. Like, I was not ready at all. And I can remember walking into the sanctuary, and a former member of mine, she looked at me, and she was like, "Girl, that is not you." And immediately I got offended because I'm like, "Girl, you don't know, this is me." Woo woo. But as I began to journey through this seat, I realized that wasn't me. I was trying to put on something that I had seen. And as I continued to do that for a short span of time, very short, I began to really lose myself. My husband, he had been preaching since the age of 3. And at first I thought I had to compare to what he's been doing for years, and it just made me feel as if I was inadequate. Like, I just felt like, this ain't for me. This is his thing. I don't know where I fit. I had no idea where I was going to fit into his arena, and so I just continued to go to church, finding my way. Sometimes I wear middle dress, and it's not about the clothes, of course, but, finding my way. Sometimes I would try to be, grab a mic and pray. I think I had me a little prayer life. Well, not a prayer life, because I do pray. But I think I had to pray before service one time, just trying to find my way. And it was just like no blueprint. Like nothing was fitting into who God was calling me to be. And I remember a particular time, and like I said, if you have not, you have to go back and watch the previous podcast where my husband, we're talking about our journey. But this particular time, me and my husband, of course, we had just got married. At this time, I think we may have had the girls. I can't really remember. But I was just going through like extremely bad in my mind. Like I said, dealing with who I was, my identity, trying to be a wife, a new mom. Now I'm a sister. Like it was just so much going on. And I went to the altar for prayer. Because I feel like my little mind was slipping. I said, God, if you don't help me, nobody else will. And so I went to the altar, and the guy at the time, the man of God at the time, excuse me, he began to pray over me, and he said in front of an entire congregation, like, you're holding your husband ministry back. And in my mind at the time, I'm like, how is that the case? Like, I'm trying to navigate life as a wife. Mind you, we had only been married for 2 years. I'm trying to learn what it is to be a mother because I didn't have an example of a mother. You know what I'm saying? On top of trying to, bring our sisters into a comfortable living, what they deserve, So why is the first thing we talking about is ministry? Like I'm trying to, make sure all my ducks are in a row. And so from that moment on, it was just like, you know what? I'm done. Like, it's not for me, And so I went through such a strong identity crisis. Like, I remember sitting on the front row, coming in to support. But I just honestly did not even believe in God anymore. I was just like, who is he? Like, man, I done been through all this, I'm tired of going through. I'm trying to find my way, and the first thing I hear from his man of God is I'm holding my husband ministry back because I won't grab a microphone. When ministry is so much greater than that, like it's 100 pieces to ministry, 25, maybe 10% is grabbing a microphone. And because I would not grab a microphone, I was told I was holding my husband ministry back. And for me, during that time, it was just like, you know what, you can have it, And I just, it took God himself to really pull me out of that. Like I remember going to therapy, and it just wasn't for that, of course, other things I had going on from my past. And, going to church, doing both Jesus and therapy. I think Apostle Joshua Peter Smith have a shirt about that. But it really helps. Like that's what brought me out of that situation, going to therapy and just getting rooted and grounded into a great church home. And so after that, I began to, still, trying to find my way, but I kept coming. I kept serving. My heart posture changed. My thoughts changed. Everything about me began to change. And, of course, during the time, the church wasn't as modernized as it is today. But I began to, wear my little tennis shoes, wear my little jeans, little 1-2, nothing major. And our church, Dominion Power, was in transition, and our now pastor, who's Apostle Cordero Beard, he came into the ministry, and he, saw what I had going on. Of course, I wasn't fully embracing it, but I was kind of stepping into it. And we worked together at the time, and it's really a funny story because at his first anniversary, I cried telling this story. But after work, he called my phone, and he began to impart into me what I considered that changed the trajectory of my life. Like, he began to tell me and encourage me to be who God has called me to be. He began to show me my future, and he began to prophesy, the things that he saw God doing through my life. And when I say my life from that moment to this day has just changed, like never be the same. And it's so important. I tell people all the time, it's so important, who your leadership is. Sometimes, like I said, I was, trying to find my way, but I didn't have I felt like I didn't have the, I I don't want to say okay, but I wasn't as confident because I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? But to have a man of God to say, hey, you're on the right path was like, okay, let's go. Of course, my husband, he all for it. When I began to talk to him about it or whatever, he was like, babe, this is it. Like, truth be told, he is the mastermind behind Seats and Shoes. The slogan, my shoe game is different, but my seat is still the same. My husband mastermind behind all of it, and I'm so grateful and thankful for him. But yeah, that really it really like gave me the courage to continue, and it also enlightened me like this is, what God has given me, and because He has given it to me, then it's going to prosper, And since that day to now, like I said, it has done just that. Under the umbrella of Seats and Shoes, of course, I have my clothing company. And one of the slogans on the clothing company is Sundays are for sneakers. And even in that, God really just showed His favor. I think I had just had my last baby boy, and I was just sitting at home. The Holy Spirit had already begun to download and tell me to put what you need in your Amazon cart, because at the time I did have somebody making the shirts for me, but he was like, put what you need in your Amazon cart, and I did it, not thinking nothing of it. In my mind, I'm going to purchase it, when it's time, and get to moving. But it wasn't even a day later, like a lady at my church, she was like, what you need to start your business? What, to do your own t-shirts? And I was hesitant because I'm like, this ain't no cheap piece of equipment, you know what I'm saying? So I don't want to tell her I need this, So I was on my cart trying to find the cheapest thing. And she was like, no, what do you need, you know what I'm saying, for your, to make your shirts? And so I sent it to her. And it wasn't, a day or two later, the big old box showed up in my front yard. And there it was, when it came down to what I needed to, like, kind of print out my letters and stuff. My husband's best friend, what you need? We got it, giving it to me. The manual, how to do it, had all of that, and that was just even further more confirmation that the hand of God was upon this. Like, I didn't spend $1 to get this stuff. And even as it pertains to different stuff I've done it as far as photo shoots and all of that, like, the favor of God has just, man, has been on this, and just encouraging me to keep going. Sometimes, I feel as if, I may be losing, my footing or whatever, but I am reminded, because of the favor, that this is just the beginning. And so just, really embracing my seat, that's, what I have been doing over the past couple of years, embracing my seat, walking fully into who God is calling me to be, not allowing man to push me, but still being authentically who God has called me to be. And so, yeah, that's Seats and Shoes. That's my journey in a small nutshell. And I want you guys to always remember, your shoe game may be different, but your seat is still the same.